We're at the site of the Eastern Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky, well known by most paranormal investigators as one of the most haunted graveyards in the country. By use of the pendulum, I've determined that this particular area of this property is very high in supernatural activity this evening. This is where we'll conduct the experiment on my newest psychical apparatus. The apparatus that I will be using in upcoming seance work. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of steampunk magic. My name is Drew Von Greencastle, and in this short documentary, you'll be following along on two separate trips to this fantastic side-observing phenomenon of the otherworldly. This cemetery dates back into the mid-1800s, making it the oldest one in Louisville. And this was in the Victorian times, the period of spiritualism, the time that people would have seances and use a medium to reach out to the other side, to speak with the ones who had passed over into the world known as Summerland. And this particular cemetery is known for a lot of strange happenings, voices, ghosts, orbs, etc. It's speculated that this is probably the most haunted cemetery in all of Kentucky. And one of the reasons is that it has so many people buried here. There are at least 16,000 graves, but it's documented that there's well over 130,000 people buried in it, because the people buried here, the coffins were actually stacked. Some say as deep as five deep, and then during a period when it was neglected, it's also rumored that some of the coffins would actually stick out of the ground. They worked their way to the top. It's one of the ghosts is well known by the locals. There are also other ghosts rumored to wander about and even through the chapel. But this is our main area of psychical activity tonight, as identified by the pendulum. And then later, when I re-listened to some of the audio and video, I noticed that there were some sounds, very strange, picked up on the audio. And of course, ghost hunters all know that audio equipment pick up sounds that are unable to be heard with the human ear, the higher frequencies that will be able to be heard when replayed on the stereo equipment. So listen to this. Therefore, I am super intrigued, and I'll definitely be back later this fall. And I will bring some more of my equipment with me, such as the spirit radio and possibly the tool that I plan to use in my seance work. And then I went back in the fall. This time I brought my Tesla spirit radio and my seance apparatus, the chimes. The first step would be placing the radio in the previously identified area via the pendulum earlier in the year. With the spirit radio placed and the recording on, I see that it's in a fairly inconspicuous place that I should be able to leave late into the night. The crematorium is our next area of investigation. The first end we come to is an area well known to the locals. Some say that there's a dark entity that'll be seen late at night coming from the stairwell that rises from the basement of this building. And it's behind the crematorium, where the babies are buried, that I plan to set up the seance apparatus of my spirit chimes. This is also where the old lady ghost is rumored to rise at night, and she wanders about caring for the lost souls of those babies buried behind this building. And then we wait for darkness and the late hour of Saturn to monitor the deeper activity with our sensing devices. My seance apparatus was set up behind the crematorium, in between where the ghost of the old lady was known to first appear, as well as the dark entity. A closed glass is placed over the top to avoid any non-paranormal activation of the chimes. These chimes will be of use in future seances for a spirit to notify us of its presence, as well as to possibly communicate yes and no answers to our questions. So then later in the night, when I went back to retrieve the spirit radio and recorder, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, I saw this apparition appear briefly, but long enough I was actually able to capture it with this picture. And the recorder by the spirit radio did pick up these unusual sounds. Listen to this. We were able to use the spirit chimes with wonderful success on a Halloween seance to contact the headless daughter of the legend of Spook Hill. So we thank the spirits for yet another bizarre adventure in steampunk magic.